Parliament special session was called for on September 18th, but the agenda is not yet stated, giving scope for enough speculation. Meanwhile, President of India is hosting a dinner for G20 leaders. The invitation mentioned President of Bharat instead of President of India. Even the G20 literature also mentions that, and this led to a whole speculation in the media and political circles on what the government intends to do. September 18th happens to be the date on which the Constituent Assembly approved the Article 1 of the Constitution, which says India, that is Bharat, is the union of states. So therefore, there is an intense speculation that the government of India may tinker with Article 1 and delete the word India and make the use of Bharat alone mandatory. Still, nobody knows what the intentions of the government are, and no clarity is there. But still, given the Narendra Modi's propensity with surprises, so he is known for shock and awe therapy in politics. So there is none can rule out the possibility of tinkering with Article 1. In fact, if the government of India chooses to use only Bharat, there is no constitutional objection, because the Article 1 clearly says India, that is Bharat, and the Hindi version of the Constitution, Bharat ka Samvidhan, says Bharat arthat India. So therefore, and in fact, the Hindi version of the Constitution is not just a mere translation. It is also considered as an authoritative text of the Constitution, given the fact the Constituent Assembly has approved the Hindi version and the President of the Constituent Assembly has officially signed on the Hindi version of the Constitution. The 58th Amendment to the Constitution also clearly states that the Hindi version is also an authoritative text. Therefore, the use of word India and Bharat are interchangeable. One can be used in the place of other. So it has been a convention that whenever we use the name of the country in English, we have been using India, and in other Indian languages, we are using the word Bharat, Bharata, etc., etc. So now we should, as long as the government of India does not drop the word India and uses the word Bharat only, well, it is well in its right to do that, and there is no constitutional violation. So assuming that the word India is dropped, because there has been a lot of acrimony over it, and the BJP leaders are telling that it is a British heritage. But there are historians who argue that the word India not necessarily linked to the colonial legacy. There are even people who argue that Herodotus was the first to use the word in Indus for the river Sindhu. So the Greeks used the word Indus, and later it became Indica and then India. So therefore, it's not necessarily a colonial word, India. And India has a long history, standing, international prestige, and a brand value associated with. So therefore, doing away with the word India is actually a disservice to the country. But we have to see what the government of India does. And in fact, the word Hindu, which the BJP is so associated with the Hindu and Hindutva, are actually also not the words which emanate from the Hindu religious text. You don't have the mention of the Hindu either in Ramayana or Bhagavad Gita or Vedas or Upanishads. Well, it is also a Persians who pronounce Sindhu as Hindu, and that's how we got the name Hindu religion. So will we do away with the word Hindu just because it is a Persian origin? So, well, that's the major question that is before us today. So why should we drop a word India to use the word Bharat when the Constitution allows the use of word Bharat? In fact, that there are two instances when this went to Supreme Court. First time in 2015, and in March 2016, Justice T.S. Thakur and another judge have clearly pronounced that the English that India and Bharat both can be used, and there is no need to do any tinkering with the constitution. Again in 2020, when the public interest litigation came, appealing, praying for the removal of India, then the Supreme Court said, well, the Article 1 of the Constitution clearly states India, that is Bharat, is the Union of States. So in fact, this was debated in the Constituent Assembly also. There are demands to use the word only Bharat, and there are even people wanted to use the word Hindustan. In fact, Muhammad Ali Jinnah was first to object to the use of word India by Bharat. So the Jinnah wanted us to use only Bharat or Hindustan. He was objecting to the use of word India. In fact, Jinnah wrote a letter to the British governor, the Governor General of India, Lord Mountbatten, expressing a clear objection to the word India being used for our country, because this was even documented by several historians. Aisha Jalal, in her book Jinnah, Muslim League and the Demand for Pakistan, published by the Cambridge University Press, in fact quotes this letter too. So Jinnah objected to the use of word India for our country. But because we retained the word India, India retained United Nations membership as inherited from the British India, and the Pakistan has to freshly apply for the United Nations membership. So for the purpose of continuity also, India is a modern name, we are known across the world, and no purpose will be served by dropping the word India. Well, nothing wrong in using the word Bharat, nothing wrong in popularizing the word Bharat. Well, Bharat also, as mentioned in Vedas, Bharata as a mention in Mahabharata. So nothing wrong. It has a cultural context. It is a context of heritage. But India also has a context of history. So let's not tinker with Article 1. Let us retain the Article 1 in the present form, and let the citizen of the Supreme Court said has a choice whether to use the word India or Bharat. Both the words India and Bharat evoke patriotism in us, evoke patriotic fervor in us for a narrow parochial political reasons to rise hyper-nationalism. Let us not tinker with the name of the country, and let us not tinker with the Article 1 of the Constitution.